Welcome back. Tonight, I'm going to show you how to build apps in Antigravity. First, I'm going to show you what we're going to build. Over here in Google Stitch, I've already prepared the UI. So what we've done is we've created a basic fitness app with 3 screens. You got the home screen that's showing you what you're going to do today. You've got a weekly planner, and you've got a settings screen where you can change your target. How I got here is the first thing I did was I entered Google Gemini and I asked it to write a prompt for Google Stitch. And I said, be very detailed in the prompt. I would like a fitness app. I'd like to use orange and blue colors. I'd like to use a light background. And I took that prompt, I copied it over to Google Stitch, which is stitch.withgoogle.com. And I ran that. I utilized the prompting methods, went back and forth just a few times and did a few iterations. And this is what we came up with. From here, what we do is we copy this screen out, right? We just do a screenshot. In a Mac, that's Shift Command 4, right? And then we write another Gemini prompt and we tell it we're going to write a prompt for anti-gravity and use this image, be very detailed. We're going to write it in Flutter, right? I'm going to prepare this with the attached image so that it'll have it, but write the entire prompt for me for anti-gravity. And this is what it comes up with. It does the entire prompt. And all I have to do now is copy this over to anti-gravity. So, but before we do that, we got to go into Android Studio and build the folder structure. So let's start by going over to anti-gravity. Excuse me. We're going to start by going to Android Studio over here. And we're going to choose New Flutter Project. And we're going to choose Next. And that's going to be in lowercase. And all we're going to write is fitness. For our fitness app, we're going to just write it in Android. You could also write it in iOS by clicking here. You could also write it in Mac if you wanted on the web, so you could run it on Chrome or Windows. But for this test, we're just going to run it in Android. Choose Create. This is going to build your folder structure for you. You'll notice it did the library, the Android, the idea, the Dart tool, and the test. Okay? And you've got some external libraries here. So that folder structure is done. Inside Flutter, main.dart is its main file. So now let's minimize that. Now let's open up Antigravity. Now in Antigravity, we're going to open that folder that we had just created. So we're going to go down, for me, it's Studio Projects, under Test, and we're going to choose Fitness. There it is. So the folder structure is already built. Now, Antigravity is great because a couple things that it has that's just spectacular is this new switch to agent manager. This is basically a nice natural language, so we can use English, right? And so all you have to do in a Mac is do Command E, right? Now, this is a bug as far as I'm concerned. It defaults not to the folder you told it to open, it defaults to the last folder that you were in. So you actually have to click on the down arrow, come down here to Fitness, and change the directory that you're in. I always go over here and clean this up a little bit, right? I want to be in fitness. I don't want to be in these. So I'm going to go close those folders just to keep it looking nice and clean over here. There we are. So now we've got the fitness folder here, right? And we're in it. And so now what it's time to do is it's time to go add that image that we spoke about. We save that to our desktop. Okay. So I go out to my desktop. I've got the screenshot of what it's going to look like. And now what we've got to do is tell it to do our prompt. Okay, so we're going to do a Command V on a Mac. Okay. And let's see. We're going to take out that last piece was kind of some comments. Okay. But everything else in there was the prompt. Okay, so there it is. It's also at the top, it was telling us, here's a comprehensive prompt. We don't need that. We just need the prompt. Okay, there it is. All right, so here's another important tip for you. Inside Antigravity, make sure you have it on Gemini 3 Pro. Okay, all right, and we are going to, you have your choice between planning and fast. We're going to choose planning mode, and let's choose run. Okay, we're in the right. Again, check to make sure you're in the fitness folder. We are. All right, so right now what it's going to do is it's going to possibly ask us some questions, or it's going to take that image and it's going to start building our application for us. And then what we'll do is we'll tell it that once it's done, we'll go back to Android Studio and we will test it by clicking the play button on the main.dart file. So let's go over to Android Studio now, and we'll get it ready by getting our emulator set up. Okay, device manager. And we're going to be running this, which is a Pixel 9 Pro. That's our emulator. So you can have multiple emulators in here. You get different levels. For those big apps, what they do is they run different emulators. So you could go like Pixel 7, Pixel 9. That way you know if your application works on an older version of Android. So what we're going to do is when it's time, we're going to choose the play button here while this is building, and it'll run the Flutter application. The first time it runs a little bit slow. And let's go see if it's got any questions for us over here. All right, so we're in the planning phase now. You can see it's got the task list for us. So now it's going through, and you can see it's starting to add code for us. So it's already going through the whole process. And let's see, hopefully we get a one shot out of this. So what Anti-Gravity is, by the way, it is an IDE, which is basically a nice GUI interface for you to write your applications with. This is different than, like, let's say Claude Code that you utilize CLI, which is a command line interface. That's where you see more of the terminal down here, where you could open this up. So we could go into, this is Claude Code, by the way. So we could go change the directory of the test. And so this is more of this is the back end on how you would do it if you were using Claude. Okay. This is Claude Code here. And there's your directory, right? So from here, we would type Claude, it would run Claude Code. But for this Anti-Gravity, we're using an IDE. So let's go back and see how we're doing. Okay, so looks like it's working on the screen implementation right now. So it's working on the bottom navigation, which we've got 3 screens: the home screen, the calendar screen, and the settings screen. So right now, as we speak, it's building that. You can see here it's adding in the welcome back, which let's go ahead and take a look at what it's building, right? You can see it's adding this welcome back. Today is Tuesday. It's adding all this data in here, and it's building the screens as we speak. Now, we've got these menus here. They look slightly different on the Google Stitch product. So we'll see if it's smart enough to make sure that all the screen menus are the exact same. Okay. There it is again. It's coding. Okay. So, all right. So progress updates, configuring main.dart. So that's good. It's running the analysis. It looks like it's testing it for us. And let's see how close we got. So we're almost there. We're going to be able to run this in an emulator. Now, a few things about this is we're choosing on this one just like a MySQL database. If we wanted to store it on a backend, like a BAAS, that would be a backend as a service. We could store that data up in the cloud at like a Google Firebase. That's what I choose to use. Or we could run it on a MySQL, which we're running. This one is just running it on a local database, which would be like a MySQL server or some SQLite database. And then also on your version control. So what we're doing here would be considered version 1. I recommend everyone try to learn GitHub, and that's for version control. So as we make changes as we go along, the first item is always called version 1. The second one will be called version 2. So, and so on and so forth. So let's say you're on iteration 17 and you got a problem with it. All you do is a rollback and you go to version 16. Okay. So it says we're ready now to test it. So let's see how it looks on the first run. Okay. So let's go in here to main.dart. Make sure you choose your emulator here, which is the Pixel 9 Pro, and let's run it. Okay. So this is a nice log file right down here. This is going to run the console for us. If we get any bugs, all we're going to do is we're going to copy the bugs from here, and we're going to paste those into Anti-Gravity and say, I got the following bug. It should be able to go through and fix it. And so the first time you run this, you'll notice it's a little bit slow, and you'll see a little F over here for Flutter. and it will end up running the application over here as long as we don't have any bugs. And then we can start our first test in our first iteration. Okay, so there's the F. Hey, there we go. That's always a good sign, right? So let's see how smart this thing was. So let's maximize this size so we can see it. Oh, there we go. Look, we got push-ups. Let's see. There you go. That was pretty smart. I didn't tell it to do that. It just knew. All right, we're at weekly goal 205, so that's good. Today's Sunday. We got our apps down here. We got 2 of the 4 items done, right? Let's go over here. We are on day 3, right? So we do already have 2 of the 5 days done, just like it said over here on the home screen. Okay, and let's go look at the settings. Okay, we could update the goal here. Nope, that doesn't work. So an update goal, we could go back over there and say on page 3 on the update goal and settings, let us change that where that's a 5. Let us change that to 4 up to 7 days, right? So that's one thing we can tell it, right? And let's go back to calendar. Let's see if the plus button doesn't do anything right now. So what we could do here is we could tell it, hey, let me change this plus sign on the second page. And let's go back here. And you could also say, if you want, let me double click and edit this. The edit button doesn't work on this one. So this is our iteration 2. Okay, let me show you how that'll work. Let me go over here. Let's tell it to change this from 5. We'll say, let the update goal set that number 5. So what we'll do here is we're going to get out of the emulator. We're going to stop the emulation, right? Let's go back to Antigravity and say, on the settings screen, okay, set the update button, or what was that button called here? Let me take a look at that. Okay, update goal. Okay. Set the update goal button to open a new screen, or hang on here, to edit the goal days of the week, which is currently 5. Okay. Adjust that number on the other screens. Okay. All right. And let's see. So that would be the weekly goal would be 2 of 5. Okay. Where weekly goal is 2 of 5 currently. That 5 number would pull from settings. Okay, so let's give it something simple for iteration 2. Okay. And let's go ahead and tell it to change that, send that. And so we'll see how good our prompt was. I probably should have used the mic on that, by the way. So it would have been a lot faster. I created this little software down here called TalkType. And basically all I do is I talk into the mic and it writes this for me, which would be a lot quicker. Okay. All right. So right there, it's added a new task. All right. We can see it over here. Feature refinement. Okay. So we've got implement goal editing software. And verify goals, updates, propagate to dashboard screen. Okay, so it's playing the right 2 things, right? And so now let's see how well it does this iteration. But I've been working a lot lately with the Opus 4.6, and let me tell you, that's amazing. It just gets it. You're just basically, it adds logic that you did not ask for, right? Like, I think if I had written this in like Opus 4.6, it would have known that update button was for that 5, right? And it would have just done it. Bump this up. Okay, so it's kind of stuck here. It's playing the feature. Okay, uh, let's see, feature refinement. It's got the review. Okay, so change it. The plan looks good. Okay. Didn't tell it good, but okay. Okay, so now it says it's interpreting. It didn't like that I missed the good. So there it says confirming user intent. This is new. I don't recall this ever happening before. It just automatically goes, quite honestly. I've updated the implementation plan. I will now run the implementation plan. Okay, so that was a little bit weird. So what happened to me there was, I told it what to change. It changed the plan, but it didn't start the plan. So apparently it was waiting for me to confirm. That was a new one for me. So maybe I should just told it and confirmed it right away. Said, go ahead and start this, but wasted a little bit of time there. But here we go. It's ran it. Okay, it's changing the goals. It's changing the software. All right, now it's doing the verification cleanup, fixing the screens. Okay, so we're almost close to being done here. Hopefully this iteration gets it done. Now, what you would do is if you were doing versioning, this would be if this was the final change that we had for this product, we would actually go out there and we would push this up. This would be our original commit for GitHub, and this would be our version 1. And then let's say tomorrow you wanted to add a new feature, and that would be your version 2. So it's very important for you guys to know how GitHub works and how to execute things through GitHub. Okay, so it looks like I've successfully enabled the weekly goal. Let's go check it out here. Okay, so now we just go back to Android Studio. All right, let's run that again. All right, let's run the running devices. Here we go. Okay, so hopefully this fixes it. We got our Flutter screen a little bit quicker. Our push-ups, get that done. Let's go see if we change our goal here. Update goal. Oh, there we go. Pop-up screen's good. And let's change this to 4. Now, I'm interested to see if it changes it on the main page. Okay, change goal. Hey, there we go. It did. It worked perfectly. So, hey, thanks for joining us today. This is our final product, and we will see everyone tomorrow. Go ahead and put any comments that you have, and I will answer them down below. Thank you, and good night.